Ken, unbelievable win for Tipperary, 14 men in all. What are your initial thoughts of that?
My initial thoughts are not win at all. My initial thoughts are, how did we do it? Because it seemed that all the odds were against us. If we had ducks to the drown, Paddy Maher, I could have cried for him because of the fact of the situations and the decisions that went against him. And yet, Tipp kept coming back. And Paddy was much maligned today. And Ronan stood in for him and played like two Mahers played today. And then you had John McGrath going off Shane. And unfortunate second yellow. And then you had Noel playing for the two McGraths, because Noel McGrath, what a performance in the last 20 minutes. When he was out on his feet, his brain kept ticking over. And eventually, heart, character, spirit, but more importantly from our point of view, to be cold about it, Shane, we kept our composure. We kept playing the ball in tight situations. You talk about tactics and things like that. Tipp are always accused, and have been accused of being one-dimensional. There was no one-dimension today because the smart play, and that included, of course, the new kids on the block, the Willie Connorses, the Ger Browns, the Mark Kehoes, the Jake Morrises. They came in, Alan Flynn, and they eased into the game, and natural hurling came out in the end.
Like every decision that could have gone against Tipperary, and I think the Hawkeye one is actually kind of fair enough, because if it was a point, it was a point.
Yeah.
But it did feel like a huge amount of decisions.
We won't go against science.
No. Well, we might try to, but it did feel like everything went against Tipp, and yet they still came through. Is this the sort of thing that's a making of a team? Because it almost felt like the Munster final was going to break the team.
Well, you look at the cold light today, and Limerick were so dominant in Gaelic grounds. Now, I've been to the Gaelic grounds, I've played against Limerick, I played in the league final, and when Limerick come at you and the wind against you and the rain against you, they are an awesome sight. Last night they played a very tigerish Kilkenny team, and really at the end of the day, to sum it up, Shane, the two teams that wanted to be in the All-Ireland final most have achieved their goal, because Kilkenny just wanted to win that game so badly last night. Tejas, he won an All-Ireland final on Patrick's Day, club final. The Ballyhale lads really came up trumps yesterday. Now we have a scenario where our guys, were hurting so badly. I saw it in my own household. They were hurting so badly from that defeat in Munster. They came back with a very iffy display against Laois. But today, and everybody mentioned the bench. Everybody was mentioning the bench. But
there was no bench.
But that 10 minutes that Mark Kehoe got, that Ger Brown started against Laois, that was critical to the whole scene, because we have to pay due respect to Laois. They were absolutely fantastic against Dublin, beat a very strong Dublin team. And again, it put Ger Brown in the spotlight, it put the Jake Morrises in the spotlight. What a week for Jake Morris. Winning goal and winning point today, winning goal during the week. I mean, from his point of view, shooting on sight, he just took the ball and smashed it over the bar. An absolutely gut-wrenching score against Wexford for the Wexford guys, because, and even at that stage, Sean wasn't too inclined to blow up the whistle. He played another half minute and the ball came down, and Seamus Kennedy and Brendan Maher, fair play to them, they won possession and we came out with it again. But absolutely fantastic victory, Shane.
Like you've played on this stage in the goals yourself. What's it like watching your son Brian out there?
To be straight about it, it sometimes it's absolute torture. If you play in any line of defence from 2 to 15, you're saying, well, look at, ball will come here, ball will go there. Just like what happened Paddy today, and Paddy has been inspiration for Tipperary. But in the goals, there's no one behind you, only that net. But he's calm, he's composed. He's young, he's 22. But from everybody's point of view, every parent is playing the game. And since you mentioned that, it was so thrilling for everybody, to see all the parents, the families down there hugging their sons, and every heartland in Tipperary tonight can be proud of the people they have produced, because I saw Patrick Bonner down there. He's the missing ingredient, and if he could play, he'd be absolutely amazing for us, as well as he was this year in the early stages of the championship. But from everybody's perspective, 20 players, we mentioned the 15 that we played, but today the 20 players stood up, and Liam Sheedy can have no quirks about his bench now. He called them in and they did the business on the big stage.
Yeah, because Kilkenny used 27 players in the championship this year. You're not going to get by with just 15 alone, so that was
and Kilkenny are absolutely phenomenal. Billy Sheehan came on, brilliant point. Billy Ryan has come on into the scene, and of course the boy wonder himself, Adrian Mullen. He was in close contention for man of the match last night. Colin Finlay, the Ballyhale trio, and of course Pádraig Walsh at the back was awesome. So I mean, Kilkenny and Tipperary have it all to play for. You can't legislate for what's going to happen in the All-Ireland final, but I can be sure in the cold light today, with the Kilkenny lads sitting back today, they'll say we have a huge chance and Tipp will obviously be coming off a big victory as well. So from that perspective, I think both teams deservedly won their place through sheer guts, heart and commitment. We thought Kilkenny couldn't be surpassed, but as a Tipperary person today, that is the most energetic and spirited performance I've seen from Tipperary in my time, Shane.
Do you think that, well, just one more question on Brian then. Did you know that he was going to be a goalie from a young age? Did you think that out here hurling in Croke Park would be his destiny?
Well, it was my own brother Hubert that actually, because I remember he was over the under 14s and under 16s, and then Brian, as you can see, he's 6'5", so at 12 years of age he was 6 foot at least, and like he just said, they were playing at that time, the age barrier wasn't there, so as a 12-year-old he was able to play under 16, and he came up through the ranks. He always played centre back, played college as centre back, was a sub as a centre back on a minor team, and then ultimately played 2 years minor. Eventually ended up in the goals with the club, came on as a youngster to the club. So, you know, like every player out there, you go back to the juvenile coaches, you go back to the mentors who have harnessed these guys together and brought them through the ranks. And he's no different than anybody else. He likes it, he's composed in there, but for every other player, they have their challenges as well. And you know, the 17th of August is going to be some challenge for Tipperary.
And when a high hanging ball is coming in right on the crossbar, is that when you're at your most nervous watching in at Brian?
I think now with the modern day game, it's not the balls that are hanging at all or the balls that are hit, it's every puck out, every ball that's been hit, because you know, even the last free he took that Jake scored, you're saying Brian hit it to where, you know, territory to where it won't be into the crowd, because with the Liam Ryans of this vintage, and of course Matt Johannan and those guys, if they go up and snap the ball in the air, they're on the attack straight away. So from that point of view, you're nearly pucking every ball rather than saving every ball, you know.
Yeah. And then like the change in the team that's happened in the last little while, Barry Heffernan's come in, and I know Lee Chin had some influence, but he stayed on him quite well for a lot of the game and won a few balls. Seamus Kennedy coming in as well. Both of those players have good legs. They're both like 6'2", we'll say, give or take. So that's kind of changed the dynamic of this Tipp's backline as well. They just seem a bit more mobile.
Yeah, very athletic, and Barry Heffernan, in fairness, has come through the ranks and has earned his place. You know, and his uncle Johnny was the same. Johnny earned his place when he played in that 89 All-Ireland winning team. Now you have Barry coming through, has had his setbacks, but he's very athletic, top-class player. Played centre back with Nina at 18 years of age. That stood to him out there in the cauldron today. Seamus Kennedy, you know, Munster Club medal with Clonmel Commercials, marking the best, you know, from Lima Rangers, used to the big stage, used to the man marking, and of course 2016 All-Ireland medal winner on the pitch. And I think their athleticism really came to the fore today. But overall, you know, the way the Tipp backline just decided, here we go, we've got to win every ball. It's, you know, because when you're 14 against 15, you can't afford any unforced errors.
And Seamus Callan, another goal. Like, have you ever seen him play a better season than this? In terms of, like, he's had seasons where, like, he scored 9 goals in 2014, but every single game he scored a goal here. Like, his performance is exceptional. And
another special goal. And credit to Bill O'Mara. When we mentioned players, Bill has come in under the, you know, with the job, which is an onerous task of filling Bonner's boots. What a run! What a pass! But like Shamey measured it like a natural hurler on the hop, and like it whizzed past, you know, Mark Fanning's ear. But to score 128 with 14 men for, you know, most of the second half, it was
12 points to 1-2 after Wexford made their burst when Tipp went down to 14 men.
Absolutely incredible hurling from everybody. But you know, I say we know the stalwarts that are there, and they're absolutely have been fantastic. The McGraths and the Mahers and co. But you know, the Willie Connorses, you've got to think of what they produced today. The Gerard Browns and Mark Kehoe. Geez, an unbelievable point. I said he's going for it. He went for it and took it, you know. So the young kids in the block take a bow today. But having said that, Liam will be, and Tommy, they're such smart men, Eamon O'Shea, you know, Dara, they will be saying, lads, heads on the shoulders, passion won us the day today, but emotions can't override all this, particularly with a huge game against Kilkenny in 3 weeks' time.
Yeah, and it is 3 weeks out. So are your initial thoughts that the performance we saw from Tipp today is enough to sort of match with what Kilkenny produced against Limerick? Because we hadn't seen that level of ferocity from two teams in the same match until last night.
Yeah, I mean, the ferocity when it comes to knockout championship, that's the beauty of knockout. And Skippy Cleary, you know, one of the great wing forwards, he always said to me, Ken, it should always be knockout in championship. It shouldn't be a round robin. it shouldn't be going into a situation where we're playing 3 or 4 games and maybe have a dead rubber at the end of it. It did happen to us. We suffered as a consequence. Let's be fair about it. And maybe the Tipp public ourselves were at fault because we're saying, geez, we need to beat Limerick in that last game, whereas we were qualified and top of the group. And unfortunately, these things happen. That could have happened Bonner in training. But from our perspective, when it comes to knockout championship, the real men stand up. And you saw it last night with TJ and the lads, Pádraig Walsh and the lads. You saw it today with our older, the Mahers at the back, the McGraths, and particularly, Jason Ford, that last 65 unerring with a Wexford player crossing across him. And you could see the physicality. I mean, Lochgarman had their tactics dead right. They had their matchups right in the first half. What happens is, the anomaly is, when it goes 15 against 14, players tend to take liberties. So, as you know yourself, you probably hate marking 2 backs on 1 forward, and that's what actually happened. The movement of the Tipp forwards, Callanan, you mentioned it, Bubbles until he gave his absolute all. Jason, but and even the fantastic goal we got that was disallowed as well. What more could happen to us? But from our point of view, to finish the game in that manner and to actually see the referee spread his arms, it was the one great thing we saw all day for that final whistle. And thankfully, we're in a final against Kilkenny, who've rightly earned their place as well.
It actually felt like Tipp started to use the ball better when they were down to 14 men, because when you are lacking a man and there's a sweeper up there, that every ball has to go to where it's supposed to. I thought at the start of the game, Tipp weren't using the ball particularly well, hitting a lot of 50-50 ball when they had good possession. But maybe that's when you're under pressure too. But a final point then, interesting 3 weeks in the Hogan household coming up as well. You'll probably have to walk on eggshells and not mention hurling at all.
Interesting 3 weeks. He's lucky guy that he's a very independent fella, and composed, and he won't get carried away. He'll be judging his performance by today. He'll be trying to improve that performance with Tommy Dunn and Darren Gleeson and the lads inside in training. And the key thing about this is every household, it's a proud day for us this evening, but having said that, every player has got to prepare, and we will enjoy the next few days. But from everybody's point of view, then the preparation starts. Remember, already, and Liam will be emphasising that dressing room, Kilkenny are 1 day ahead of us already. In preparation, they are getting the rest today. It'll take us a few days, considering we had 14 men for so long, to get our recovery. But from everybody's point of view, from every household, every parish, we love to see the Tipperary flags up again. Get those flags up in the gates, on the pillars, around the villages and the towns. Get the atmosphere up, because people mentioned and maybe questioned the Tipperary support. But the Tipperary support, we heard them when we needed them most. They did act as our 16th man today, and it was absolutely fabulous. So hats off to both Kilkenny last night, Tipp today, and there's a bigger day to come for both of them.
Brilliant, Ken. Thank you.